call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy C. Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Marty Van Ravensway, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Well, Happy New Year to everyone. This is it's good to kind of get back into the swing of things. Our invocation this morning will be delivered by Father Hasso from All Saints Catholic Church. And after the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Horton County Judge Glenn Whitley and Commissioners, it is with great honor and gratitude that I accept the invitation to be here to pray with you this morning as you begin your work. Psalm 33 can be the setting for our prayer this morning. From heaven the Lord looks down and observes the whole human race, surveying from the royal throne all who dwell on earth. The one who fashioned the hearts of them all knows all their works. In this Horton County Commissioners Court, the well-being and future of our city and all its inhabitants is in process. The decisions made here will affect all living in this great city. We pray that our county judge and commissioners will have one heart and one mind and accomplish their mission with great power with the gift of the Holy Spirit. May everything they do begin with the Lord's inspiration and continue with His help, so that all their work may begin in Him and by Him end successfully. As we celebrate this month the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., let us, like him, be the good leaders our country and city needs. We remember that his dream is woven deeply in the American dream. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And may the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May He look upon you with kindness and give you His peace. May the Lord bless your work today and always. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Father. Thank you again, Father Hasso, for coming out today. Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have two announcements for you this morning. The first one concerns the Administrator's Office. This is item 9A1. We're going to ask that we hold that item. The second one is under Public Health, which is item 9J2. We're going to ask that that also be held at this time. Also, Your Honor, it's my understanding that we may be taking some of our proclamations and resolutions out of order this morning, so that the entire family that we have here this morning can listen to some of these various proclamations.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. As GK just mentioned, we are going to do that, but first we have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of December 29th.
Move for approval.
Second. We have motion and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. At this time, I would like to recognize Commissioner Johnson on a proclamation for the Western Heritage Trail Drive celebration.
Thank you, Your Honor. If you would first read this proclamation into the record.
Yeah. Whereas Tarrant County's roots lie in the Old West, and much of our heritage can be traced to the era of cowboy and cattle drives that passed through the county, and whereas Tarrant County is famous for its Western hospitality and is home to such Western accented venues as the historic Stockyards, Billy Bob's Texas, and the Northside Coliseum, where the first indoor rodeo was held. And whereas the Western Heritage Trail Drive celebration will reenact and tell the story of Fort Worth, Texas from the 1830s to the present on January 16, 2010 at the Two Cities Place parking facility. And whereas during the celebration, score a goal in the classrooms, and the Fort Worth Cowtown Committee will honor Kit Moncrief and the Fort Worth Cowtown Legends Award and Kristen Jaworski with the prestigious Western Heritage Trail Boss Award. And whereas the Western Heritage Trail Drive celebration is a free family fun event that will include Old West activities like stagecoaches, chuck wagon cooking, Native American dancing, and all kinds of Western storytellers. And whereas the Western Heritage Trail Drive celebration will begin immediately following the Stock Show Rodeo Parade and will last until 4 p.m., now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby declare January 16, 2010 as Western Heritage Trail Drive Celebration Day in Tarrant County. In witness whereof, we've heretofore set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 12th day of January 2010.
Move for its approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And Commissioner Johnson, I think we have some folks here.
Yes, Ernie Horton, I know, is here to receive this proclamation from Score a Goal in the Classroom, and he has some guests with him. But before I allow him to introduce them, let me make this announcement to you, and I apologize for my voice. It was mentioned in the proclamation that Two City Place, Belknap, and Taylor Street is where this celebration is going to take place. All employees and their families of Tarrant County are officially designated chuck wagon judges for this cook-off over there. It's free food and lunch. It starts at high noon, and it goes until 4 p.m., and we would like to see as many of you or all of you over at this program. So with that, let me present this proclamation. Thank you, Judy. Ernie, thank you for all that you do for the kids in this county. And Charlie, and how are you?
This is our future. We just want to get it.
And if you will introduce all of this future to us. Oh, you guys get up front here. Yeah.
Thank you.
I know. I like that coat.
Me too.
Did it work? All right. And Ernie, any comments you want to make? Thank all of you for being here.
First of all, I'd like to thank y'all. Thank you not just for this morning, but thank you for every day you get up and how hard you work. Isn't it fitting, Glenn, that here we are on Tarrant County Employees Appreciation Day, and we're talking about leadership? My granddaughter in that said, Granddad, what do leaders do? I articulated, run my mouth for about 10 minutes. She said, Sir, all you need to know is that leaders lead. And I'm so thankful that I was blessed by Almighty God to be born here, and they can't run me off. And we're here today to celebrate our Western heritage. I discovered a few years ago, we work in schools all over North Texas, about 580,000 kids. Only 2 schools in North Texas have any curriculum that deals with our history. They'll talk about the Alamo or Pearl Harbor. They don't talk about the chuck wagons or the first indoor rodeo or the Comanche Indians or the Tarrant County Sheriff's Department or the Ag Department. And we're here today to say thank you. Charles Boswell, a great servant to this community, is the president of our not-for-profit school incentive program. And Jim, would you just say a few words to this posse of people about who you are and who you represent? Introduce these 2 youngsters.
This is Micah Butler and Evie Butler. They are with the Tarrant County 4-H. I'm Jim McCullough with the Tarrant County 4-H. I'm a 4-H leader, ambassador, coordinator, And we're going to be up there this weekend to have our booth up there for the Tarrant County 4-H. We're going to make butter, candles, pull cotton, and we just want to invite everybody up there. This is our first time, so we want everybody up there to support us and support the whole heritage. It's really an important thing for our county to have up there. So thank you.
Williams, my partner, JD, all of y'all, I'm not real smart, but I'm smart enough to know that every one of these wonderful employees and their families have got to eat somewhere Saturday. And so I really sincerely need people to come and bring a posse of about 7,000 or 8,000 people. Last year we had about 28,000 people that stayed after the rodeo parade. It's the last unmotorized parade in the world, and it represents the greatest show on dirt, the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. And so we want to come. If we do not celebrate our rich Western heritage, I'll tell you, I'm testifying, we'll lose it. Plus, we have so many people that's moved here from other planets, and they don't have a clue. And so I beg you, I thank you again from the bottom of my heart for all the children that we represent. Without your leadership, we would be like Dallas. And thank you so very, very much.
Thank you. I am going to take a moment and say that we very much appreciate the 4-H. We had the biggest cheerleader, I think, for the 4-H club sitting on our court in Commissioner Johnson. He's already sent out the invoices for this year's donation to the Tarrant County Junior Livestock Show, but it is a tremendous program. And any comments you'd like to make or encouragement you'd like to?
Well, I'd just like to say that I'm still waiting on the first check from the court. But I have received a few $1,000s already, and kids are looking forward to another good year, so let's make it one of the best this year.
And again, I want to thank Commissioner Johnson. He, every year, goes about raising a great sum of money so that each one of these kids and what they bring to the program, they get something, so it's sold. And no one goes home without, with that disappointment of having brought something in and not feeling like that it was valued or that it received that. And so again, as we're about to move into our employee recognition, what I just got to say to you is it's another way I think that you as employees and we as Tarrant County go that second mile to help folks that, quite honestly, in no way are a part of our daily required jobs. It's just the second mile stuff that we do so much. So again, thank you, Commissioner Johnson, and thank you all for coming out here today.
And that sale is February 20th, 1 o'clock, Swine Barn, Will Rogers.
And you don't have to worry, there's no flu in that barn.
Thank you.
That was a very good endeavor. The one that we're about to recognize is an equally, I think, great endeavor, and that's the proclamation for Cook's Decade of the Child, Healthy Children 2020. And I know we've got some folks here today absolutely, from Cook's Children's Hospital, and y'all come on down as I read the proclamation. Whereas children's hospitals provide medical miracles every day based on the premise that you are broke, let us fix you, and whereas based on that premise, children's hospitals are in a unique position to lead their communities toward true health care for children, and whereas while a great deal of medical information exists about children, there are large gaps in our understanding and measurement of children's health, and whereas the effort known as a community-wide children's health assessment and planning survey is the first known project of its kind in the country to extensively focus entirely on identifying children's health needs to implement solutions, and whereas the CHAPS region includes Tarrant, Johnson, Hood, Parker, Wise, and Denton counties, offering the potential of regional collaboration on children's health issues, and whereas Cook's Children's Hospital recognizes this and calls on the community to join in dedicating the Decade of the Child, Healthy Children 2020, and participating in the Child Health Summit on January 15, 2010. And whereas Healthy Children 2020, recognizing that there is no easy solution and improvement will take time, intends to allow communities to select those children's health issues most important to their community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby proclaim January 2010 to December 2019 as the Decade of the Child, Healthy Children 2020 in Tarrant County. And further, we urge all Tarrant County citizens to understand the importance of children's health issues in our community and to participate in Cook's Children's Health Summit. In witness whereof, we have heretofore set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 12th day of January 2010. And with that, I will move its approval.
Second.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We appreciate Larry and Jenny, y'all being out here today. I cannot even begin to express the gratitude that this community has for not only what you do for the kids and for the children in Tarrant County, but really throughout this region. The endeavor that you're undertaking to basically say you will take care of any child and their needs from, and that you hope to have this accomplished by 2020, I think speaks volumes about the commitment that your board and that your employees and that really everybody in this community has to the children and to our future. And so with that, I really want to thank you, and I'll come down and present this proclamation at this time, but again, thank you very, very much.
And I'd like to add that this proclamation has a co-sponsor.
Yes, it does. Sorry, I forgot about
that. That co-sponsor would be me.
Come on down here. Get in that picture, too. I'm going to pay for that one. Y'all are welcome to make any comments you'd like to make. Again, thank you very, very much.
We'd really like to thank the court for this recognition. It is our pleasure and our privilege to serve the children in this community. And our team at Cook Children's that works in community outreach knows that not only our team, but all the partners that we work with in the community, all the organizations who have children's best hopes as their intention as well, are going to be thrilled to have this new data, this new information that's going to tell us about the status of the health of the children in our 6-county region. This is your data. We want you to use it too, and it's going to be available to you on a website so that you can go in and check the health status of the children in your precincts and in our county. So thank you very much, and we look forward to continuing to partner with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have two other proclamations at this time. Commissioner Brooks, I believe you have one.
I have a proclamation honoring Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which will be presented over this coming weekend. I move its ratification.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And Commissioner Fickus.
Yes, we have a resolution that's already been presented for the South Lake Department of Public Safety, their new facility that they opened on Friday. And we presented it then, so I would move for approval of that resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And that brings us to our employee recognition, and we did do things a little out of order this time. And I will tell you, we did that because I think it's important that all of y'all hear some of the things that are happening in the community and have an opportunity. We have a lot of great proclamations that we do from time to time. Y'all do tremendous work. Many of y'all are a part of, volunteer, and give your time to many of these efforts. We appreciate that very much, and so I just felt like it was important, especially with these two items that we had this morning, Ernie and the work that his group does, Cook Children's and the group and the work that they do, that everybody have an opportunity to hear that. This is the first Tuesday of a new year, and so we'll recognize folks as we have in the past. I'm going to begin with the 5-year folks. As I call your name, please stand. Let me introduce you. Then at the end of that group of folks, we'll recognize all of you and then move to the next group. So, and the little caveat that I always say, if it sounds like it, if it even remotely sounds like it, stand up, especially if you know you're in that group. Beginning with our 5-year employees, Lori Bennett from the District Attorney's Office. Constable Doug Bransom. I saw Doug, there he is. Precinct 4. Constable Clint Burgess. I saw Clint earlier. There he is. Precinct 7. Kathy Cabral, Tax Office. Close. Kathy Carroll, Precinct 1, Maintenance. Denise Colford, JP, Precinct 6. Jennifer Farnham, Juvenile Services. Man, I see her grinning. Malika Gonzalez, Sheriff Booking. I'm not even sure I'm going to ask on how close I was on that one. Will Higgins, District Attorney's Office. Alan Hill, Sheriff Support Services. I feel pretty good about that one. Cynthia Dillard Ince, Domestic Relations. Tommy Judge, Sheriff Confinement. Rashad Lewis, Sheriff Confinement. Melinda Ortega, Human Resources. Chris Ponder, District Attorney's Office. How tall are you?
The same as the last time you asked.
Donald Roden, Sheriff Confinement. And Tamara Thompson, District Attorney's Office. Let's give these 5-year employees. Thank you all very much. Now for our 10-year employees. Suzanne Berry, 153rd District Court. Mary Boyd, County Clerk. Sonia Cruz, Public Health. Judge George Gallagher, the 396th District Court. Justice Ann Gardner, 2nd Court of Appeals. Welcome. Thank you. Michelle Grimaldo, Domestic Relations. Close? Yeah. Thank you for not embarrassing me there. Maria Hernandez, Public Health. Aaron Johnson, Human Services. Ashley Morgan, Tax Office. Patrick Parker, Juvenile Services. Tracy Porner. Well, I know that one. If it's close, stand up. I must have missed somebody. Medical Examiner's Office. Larry Steffler, Medical Examiner's Office. Jennifer Hunter, 360th District Court. See, it's nice to have people who will be glad to point out to you where you make mistakes.
Just helping.
I understand, and we certainly don't want to miss anybody. Christina Strelitsky, CSCD. Close?
Not
Close.
even.
Yeah, well. Thank you again. Yeah, Christina. Matthew Stucker, Sheriff Confinement. These are our 10-year employees. Let's give them a big... Now we'll do our 15-year employees. Aldrin Barwin, Human Services. Bobby Bell, Sheriff, Warrants. Diane Booth, Domestic Relations. Chief Justice John Casey, 2nd Court of Appeals. He is.
Where's my gold watch?
State employee.
We give that out on January 31st. Are you going to be there then? Oh, shucks. Santiago Chavez, Sheriff Courts. Edna Hickey, District Clerk's Office. Jeff Hodges, Tax Office. Judge Tom Lowe, 236th District Court. Nona McDonald, District Attorney's Office. Edward Miller, Sheriff Courts. Rory Palm, 372nd District Court. Constance Patton, Medical Examiner's Office. Gary Perkins, Constable, Precinct 7. Here he is. Sheila Walker, County Criminal Court Number 5. Judge David Risch, 372nd District Court.
David.
And I guess we better recognize Tom Wilder, District Clerk. These are our 15-year employees. We're very appreciative. Now, again, for our 20-plus years, I give each one of them a call and have a little chat with them and talk with them kind of about, what they recall, what they remember, and what they're willing to tell. The first one of our 20 years is Deborah Feaster from Purchasing. There she is. Started out in the Sheriff's Department and actually worked there for about 9 years, and then moved into the purchasing area and is one of the buyers in the purchasing area, and it kind of keeps us going, keeps the county moving. When I asked her what she liked most, she said, it's really the opportunity to be able to work with county, to be able to move up, that she's had she's really enjoyed the people that she's had a chance to work with, and that everyone really has that family kind of attitude, and not only within the purchasing department, but really throughout the county. She said, it's kind of like you never meet a stranger, because everybody knows that we're trying to help one another out and be a part of the family. She said that she has really, over the 20 years, that she's really enjoyed and appreciated her job. Deborah, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given us. Thank you. Next is Amy Hayes with the Sheriff Courts. There's Amy. Started out in the Sheriff's Department as a file clerk in the booking area, and then was an officer in the old jail, and then moved over to the new jail. Was deputy in the classification area, and is now, I believe, in Criminal Court Number 2. When I asked her about a more memorable moment, she said she remembers when she got the promotion to officer in the classification area. She said the people that she's had an opportunity to work for have just been wonderful, that she's made many, many good friends over the time that she's been with the county, and that she really appreciates the opportunities the county has given her. She said she worked 2 jobs really before coming to the county, or was working 2 jobs at the same time, and that when she came to the county in the beginning, that I guess she worked the midnight shift, and that it gave you the opportunity really to be able to stay at home with the kids during the day, and that was something that was, top priority at that point, and so she was very appreciative of the county giving her that opportunity. And we want to tell you how much we appreciate the 20 years you've given us. Thank you very much. Next is Mark Horton. 20 years with, is now at the Sheriff's, the South Patrol area. Started off in Cold Springs, and then moved down to a Belknap facility, and made lieutenant in 1994, and is now in patrol. When I asked him about the more memorable moment, he said, it was moving the prisoners from the Belknap facility over to the correction centers, and then also when the county split the patrol section into a northern and into a southern group, he said, I had an opportunity to really be a part of that building, the new facility in the southern section, and he said that meant an awful lot to me, and it's something that I'm proud of, and that he remembered. When I asked him what he liked most, it's the way that the county takes care of the employees. Again, a family, and really does everything they can to try to treat them as family members. He said the people the way he phrased it was the people take their friends and their family to heart. And I think that was something that struck me. He was really proud of his job, and he said, I'm really proud of the department as a whole. And I will tell you, Mark, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given us. Thank you very much. Next is Alan Hunter with the Sheriff's Department in the courts area. He started off in the Belknap facility and then moved over into the Correction Center. Worked for a while in the grievance and disciplinary area, and then over to the 322nd Associate Court. He said the people he's had a chance to work with is something that he has really appreciated, and probably the things that he likes most about the county. He started when he kind of termed his. I started when I was a kid. I started at age 21, and he said I feel like I've really grown up while I've been here with Tarrant County. Never thought really that he'd be here this long. But kind of hopes now that maybe he'll be here for another 20 years. And so I will tell you, Mark, or excuse me, Alan, that
After 20 years.
that we really that we hope you will be here 20 years too. Thank you very much, Alan, for your service. Next is Kim Husky with Information Technology area. Okay, where's Kim? Well, I thought we were going to be here. I started in the data services supporting the System 36. So that was a long time ago, and then when they moved over to the conversion of the data done in Bradstreet area, and then the conversion over to SAP. So more memorable moments were the tornado, which I think, especially for the IT, I'm sure those folks were kind of very concerned about what was going to happen there. And then when I asked her what liked most, it was the job, the variety, and kind of the ever-changing technology. So if you see Kim, tell them we appreciate very much the 20 years. Next is Dee Dee Kuhn, County Court at Law number 2. These people, okay, started off in the Ajax building with County Clerk, and is now, in 2005, went over and became the coordinator for Judge Rimmel. See Dee Dee, again, 20 years, congratulate her. Next is Norman Moreland. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Started out in the Cold Springs and started out on the midnight shift, and spent a year as a bailiff. I think you were kind of on loan at that point in time. Then came back and worked a garden at Cold Springs, and now is in the labor detail. I was very interested in talking with Norman. When I asked him about some of the more memorable moments, he said it was some of his time as bailiff, but then it was also, Norman has been real involved in that garden program, and at one point in time the state awarded, they won a state award through the Extension Service for that project and for the work that happened out there. When I asked what he liked most, he mentioned it was the people, it was the benefits, and certainly recently, more recently, it's been the security of the job and the fact that, again, I think because of the hard work of our elected officials, department heads, we've weathered, at least thus far, this financial storm, I think, pretty well. When I asked him if there was anything else, he said, I want to tell you how much I have appreciated the ability that over the years, in addition to working at that garden, he's taught horticulture to the inmates there in the jail. And, I sensed from the conversation that he feels like that he's really teaching something, and that hopefully it's giving them something that will be of lasting benefit to them. And he's worked very extensively with the Master Gardeners Program and with Extension Service. And Norman, we appreciate your service to Tarrant County, and thank you very much for the 20 years you've given us. Next is Randy Parks with Facilities Management. There's Randy. Started out with the Convention Center along with Mike Amador, and and then moved over to facilities in the old jail and then the Green Bay, and now is downtown as the operations manager. Memorable moments, he said, well, working over at the convention center, there was a lot of memorable moments. He's one of the, I guess, few people that has driven the Zamboni. And I recall as Mike was talking, he was recounting the time when somebody got into that and didn't turn on something, and he was chasing them down the ice and slipped. Were you the one he was chasing? It was somebody else. Okay. And he said also working in the jail had its memorable moments over the period of time. When I asked him what he liked most, it was the ability to make a difference and the people that he's had a chance to work with. And, you know, again, it goes back to collaborating and working with the various departments. We have stood here before and bragged on our sheriff's department and on the ability of that sheriff's department to pass jail inspection. And without fail, whenever I've had those exit interviews and whenever I've talked with the sheriff's department, they always are more than anxious to bestow upon facilities their gratitude for how quickly they come over whenever there's a problem. I see Chief Knowles over here shaking his head. I mean, a lot of times the inspectors would say that, you know, we would notice something on one floor and make a comment, we would move to the next floor, and by the time we got past all the floors and got back down, they had already fixed the problem or fixed the thing that we had recognized. And I think that, again, speaks to making a difference. And what so many of you in so many of the jobs that you do, it may seem routine, it may seem unimportant, but it's not. It's not. It's something that it's part of the overall process that produces, I think, what Tarrant County is all about, and that's serving the people. He started off, he worked part-time for a year, and then came in full-time, and he said, you know, it's amazing how quickly the 20 years has flown by. Randy, we really do appreciate what you've given to the citizens of Tarrant County. Thank you very much. Next is Pam Walker from the Auditor's Office. There's Pam. Started in the election area with Robert Parton, and then went to the Auditor's Office and has been there ever since. And this was, you know, she made the comment, she said after being at the Auditor's Office, at the elections area she realized that was sometimes almost a 24/7 job. She said, I remember starting work on January the 2nd, and at that point in time we had comp time. And that she had a son that was about 3, and that from January 2nd when she started until the primary, and remember our primaries, I guess at that point in time they may have been a little bit later. They were a May primary, but by the time we got to the primary, she had 6 weeks of comp time accumulated. And so, you know, that was something that she said when she ended up going over to the Auditor's Office, she was pretty excited about that because there was a little bit more of a regular type of hours. She said the good thing about it is that in elections she had a chance to meet some celebrities and talked about meeting Harold Taft was the one that I particularly recall that she talked about. When I asked her what she liked most, she immediately said, you know, the people are just absolutely awesome. The way the county people pull together to help one another, that everyone really stands together to help in whatever the need be, even if it's outside. And she thought back over the year when, I think it was the Auditor's Office, did so much in the way of bikes for the CPS kids. It's, you know, once we identify a need, everybody is very quick to pitch in and to make sure that need's filled. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said, you know, I'm thinking back, she says, I remember one day I went out to lunch, and when I came back, the whole area was taped off. And come to find out while she'd been gone, one of the diesel engines had blown a gasket above her, and it had just dumped on her desk, and I guess the whole area, and they had to bring in the hazmat. It was a big mess, but she said, that's certainly something that I remember, and, you know, it certainly created a little havoc down there. Pam, we want to thank you for the 20 years you've given us, and we appreciate it very, very much. Thank you. Now, this next person was the last person who I tried to get a hold of. Now, that gives you a little sign right there. So if that person's here, then we're fixing to have a chat, and so they may not stand up. But I'll depend upon their colleagues to identify them if by chance they're here. Deputy Keith Watson. And I don't think he was able to make it. I think he had planned on being back today, but for some reason he'd been on vacation, and I don't think he's going to be able to make it back. The funny part about it is he had called back in early December when the letter first went out saying that I would be making calls. So he called in, and I have an old friend whose name is Keith Watson, and so Grace said, well, Keith Watson's on the line, and I picked up the phone and asked him how he was doing, and we talked for a couple of minutes, and I said, you're not the orthopedic surgeon in town that's named Keith Watson, are you? He said, no, I kind of wondered about what you were talking about, but I'm the deputy in the narcotics division of the sheriff's department. And so we talked for a little bit longer, but I didn't have all my little forms ready to fill out, so I said, I'll call you back when we get a little bit closer. And again, for reasons, he wasn't able to be back and be with us today, but when you see Keith, tell him we appreciate the 20 years of service he's given to Tarrant County. Next is Cornis Brewer. There she is. Cornis started out in the Belknap facility when there were only 5 women in the sheriff's department, and has worked in just about all the facilities, I think we decided. Has been in booking and classification, and then came into the courts area, and now works the north door on security in the Justice Center. More memorable moments was when she made corporal, and then when she came into the courts area. When I asked her what she liked most, she said, it's getting to know everybody who she works with, as well as the public that come in and out of the facility there. And she said, I really enjoy helping others and feel like that I've had an opportunity to do that over the years. About that time, her supervisor walked by and she says, I love my supervisors. And I think I heard her supervisor in the background say, tell him you love the supervisors. So we'll get that in, and if the supervisor's here, then they can acknowledge that. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said, when I started working, women only worked on women's floors. And then she's seen that part, and then she's now gone to the point to where women are also working on the men's floors. We talked a little bit longer, and she said, the time has really flown by, and that it's really hard to summarize 25 years of service in just a few-minute conversation. And I could tell from the conversation that Corliss has enjoyed very much her time with Tarrant County and has worked very hard to do the best job she could do for Tarrant County, and we appreciate that very much, and we appreciate very much the 25 years that you've given us. Thank you. Next, this person and I shared a double wide for about a year. Alice Oliver, stand up. Alice Oliver, she's now over at Commissioner Johnson's, but she couldn't handle Precinct 3 anymore. We ran her, and you took her. You kind of stole her from us, if I recall. Yeah. She's been with the county for 25 years, and actually, when I first started as commissioner, we were remodeling our northeast area, and so they moved in a couple of double wides out there on our little vacant area of land, and we spent about the first year in that double wide it was real close. We were just real close with everybody. She started out actually working, I guess, in the DA's worthless checks area, and I think that's where you were working, police intake at the time that we were there. Then you moved over there, and then you moved over to JD's office and get an opportunity to work with him. And I'll just leave it at that.
Is there something special that anybody that's got to work?
I'm glad you said that.
There ought to be something special.
When I asked her about the more memorable moments, she's the one that recalled and reminded me about the double wide that first year. When I asked her what she liked most, again, it was being able to help people and the people that she's had a chance to work with, and the fact that it's the variety. And I hear that an awful lot, too, from the folks that I talk with, is that it's just something different every day. There's always an opportunity to help people, and it's always a little bit different. and that it's a big family. That after being here for 25 years, you know a lot of folks in a lot of different areas and a lot of different departments. They're good friends, and they are a big family. And Alice, we very much appreciate the 25 years.
She does a
She threatened. She said, I know things. She said, just be careful. And I was.
She was talking about JD, not you.
Now, this next person, I didn't have to talk with her. I could have just basically breezed right on by, but Jane Sanford. And, this will surprise y'all. Jane had her comments prepared for me. And what I told Jane is that, there's been other folks over the period of time that I've been doing this that have come in with prepared comments, and I wouldn't even, put those in because I wanted to talk to them and know it and feel it myself. I will say that for Jane, I've known and felt it for 13 of the 25 years. But again, in kind of a summary, she was 12 years as precinct administrator for Bob Hampton, who was the commissioner before me, and then 10 years as precinct administrator for me, and then for the last 3 years has been executive administrator in my office, and has meant a great deal to me. I would not have been able to have done this job without Jane, and I very much appreciate her. Wasn't sure, what she would say when it came to the memorable moment. When I read it, when we talked about it, it should have hit me in the face. About probably 9 years ago, we lost Ken Mayfield, who was our director of field operations, and it was very quickly that we lost him. And he was very well respected, not only certainly within our precinct, but I think by all of the precincts, by all of the road crews in Tarrant County. And remember very well his funeral and the fact that we had heavy equipment in the processional from all over the county. And he's buried in a little cemetery, that Bear Creek Cemetery, where the county takes care of and has taken care of for many, many years. And he knew that by being buried in that cemetery that the county, which was so much a part of his family, would always be there to take care of him. And as Jane reminded me, his headstone has a seal of Tarrant County on here. But again, this isn't to recognize Ken. This is to recognize Jane and the job. But I think again it goes back to the family. When I asked her what she liked most, it was just as we've heard earlier today, that no 2 days are quite the same. That there is a variety of duties and responsibilities, and that there's a multitude of different services that we're able to provide. And I know that Jane takes a special interest in making sure that when somebody calls in with a problem, that problem gets addressed. And it may mean, many of y'all in this room, as I'm looking around this room, have received phone calls saying, this person called, and what can we do, and how can we help them? And always with the goal of making sure that person feels like that someone cared, that someone wanted to take care of them when they had a problem with the county. And sometimes we weren't able to solve their problems, but even in those instances, she was always able to make them feel as though we cared, even though sometimes we might not be able to do anything. Also, that the county was a big family, and that we did value our employees and tried to give them as much as we could in the way of benefits, in the way of security. Asked if there's anything else. She said, I hope I'm going to be here for a while more, and I can absolutely guarantee you that I hope she's going to be here for a long while more. Thank you very, very much, John. Next is, and she was not going to be able to be here, is Linda Vessel, 25 years with the district clerk. So just as you see Linda, please congratulate her and thank her for the 25 years of service that she's given to us. And finally, Andrea Zeiton with the District Clerk's Office, 25 years. There's Andrea. Started out in the child support area with Mary Sue Miller, working with money. And as Andrea and I talk, she enjoys the budget. She enjoys the numbers. She's one of my kind of people. She enjoys those numbers and making things work and reconcile. For a period of time there, she went over to personnel and had an opportunity there to work with Tina and with Gerald. That was a point in time in her life when her dad was sick. And she lost her father during that period. And it was during that 2 years that she was with personnel, and she could not speak more highly of that family that we've referred to, that we've talked about so frequently, and how they surrounded her with love. And she especially mentioned Tina and the way she kind of took her under her wing and cared for her during that period of time. And she said, it was a different time. It was a time when I needed support, and that they were there. After she left personnel, she went back. She went to the district clerk's office and started working with numbers there. She said, I started with Bobby Cook, and she said, I remember Bobby asking me where I wanted to be at some point in time, and she said, one of these days I want to sit in your seat. She said, I'm sitting in his seat now, and she said, it's something that has happened, and she said, it's meant a lot to her. And she said, I've had a lot of good friends. She said, she's now over the passport in the accounting area. When I asked her about the more memorable moments, she said, there's some practical jokes that go on. And I couldn't get any more out of her than that. But, again, and I've heard this before, in various departments, we have fun, we get the job done, we do it, we care about the job that we do, and we want to make sure we do a top, but we also want to have fun, and we want to be like a family. And so, again, I think I want to tell the supervisors, the department heads, the elected officials, I appreciate that degree of latitude and letting folks have a little fun in what they're doing, because they work so hard to, I think, take care of the citizens of our county. When I asked her what she loved most, it was her job, her coworkers. She said, it's really a big family. And while there are always issues, the family is very close-knit, and they really care for each other. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said, I was ready, and I was proud to be, I've always really been proud to be with the county. She said, I've loved the people I've worked with. She said, she said, Cleet has taught me a lot, Bobby. She said, I've really enjoyed working with Mr. Wilder. It's been a great experience throughout the process. The opportunities that she's been given to exceed. She said, I was married and I had 2 kids while I've been with the county. And she says, everybody I talk with, I tell them how great it is to work with the county, and how much she loves the job and the coworkers. And we had a pretty good conversation. And I'll bet you, if not one, at least 20 times, she said how much she loved working with this county and with the people that she's had a chance to work with. And so, I will just tell you that we've got a great employee in Andrea, and Andrea, we appreciate very much the 25 years you've given us. Now, that's a total of 800 years of service. And again, we want to thank each one of you very, very much for the time and the commitment you've made to not only Tarrant County, but really to the citizens of Tarrant County and to the people you work with, because just as I've said to a couple of y'all, while you have been influenced by the folks who have gone before you or who have helped you, you are likewise, I can guarantee you, helping and influencing the people who have come to this county since you. And so I encourage you all to do that, and I look forward to many of y'all who are in the 15 and 10 and 5-year categories. I look forward to recognizing you as you reach your 20 and 25-year with the county. So refreshments, 504C, back here. So I'm going to take just a minute and break and let that go. I have more problems. Hey, look, I said back here, it's all right, we'll get there in that direction. They know where I'm talking about.
What was promised?
Let's go ahead and reconvene and get started. Court members, you have before you the consent agenda.
Move for approval, please.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next, we have public hearings. We have a public hearing. Renee Slam, please come down.
Thank you, Judge. I'm here today to request that the court consider the placement of no dumping signs on Shelby Road in Precinct 2. This is in response to complaints we've received from citizens, and it's hoping that the signs will serve as more of a deterrent and will help the Sheriff's Office with enforcement.
This is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing at this time and ask if there's anyone here today wishing to speak to this matter. None appearing, then I will close the public hearing and ask the court if there's any action that they would like to take.
Move approval for the placement of the signs.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
I'd be interested in some follow-up on how they feel like if this makes any difference.
All right, we'll work with the chairman and get back with you on that.
Thank you.
Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have two additional items for you this morning. The first one is item A2. We're requesting that the court approve an exception to the county's travel policy which would allow an attendee to travel within state and or out-of-region travel while they're in their last year of the term of office.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think there ought to be some explanation to that. It sounds pretty vague. Ms. Anderson has a number of responsibilities that she needs to fulfill, even though this is her last year in office. It doesn't stop the year before she gets out. So she has responsibilities to the organizations that she's been holding membership and positions of responsibility.
I would echo that. It's exactly true, and so I'm very pleased that we're doing, and I think we're doing this. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And I just want to thank her for all of her service through the years. It's been pretty phenomenal, all the things you've managed to squeeze into that, plus your constant work week.
And I will say that on a national basis, with the national recorders and with clerks, she has done a tremendous amount. She has been recognized. She's been the president of that organization and has been very instrumental in helping institute a lot of the programs which she has put in place here, making other folks around the country aware of those, and they have implemented them there also. Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, a week ago to item 3, we're requesting that the court approve the issuance of tax-exempt series 2010 hospital revenue bonds by the Tarrant County Health Facilities Development Corporation to Cook's Children's Medical Center in an amount not to exceed $250 million. There is a letter attached from Cook's Children's Health Care System regarding the county's hub policy, and also representing that to Tarrant County that it owns no property in Tarrant County that has a restriction on it for use of either medical or governmental purposes.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Tidwell?
This morning we have one item for the court. We're asking that the court receive and file the auditor's report of the district clerk's office related to criminal fine fees and court costs. You have the attached response, Mr. Walter's response attached, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Move approval to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the auditor's report. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Right?
Yes.
Probably do these checks before closed. We have two subrogation checks for receipt by the court. First is in the amount of $3,203.24, and the second one in the amount of $383.94, requesting authorization to deposit with the auditor.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Auditor. The other items will be taken up perhaps after close.
Okay. Ms. Quinn.
Good morning. We have 3 items for the court this morning. The first item, we're asking the court to receive and file the personnel agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Second item, we're asking the court to approve an extension of project employment in the district clerk's office. This is a request that you've seen previously. This project employee is assigned to the scanning project. The district clerk is requesting a 1-year extension through January of next year. There is an impact to the preservation fund, or records preservation fund, rather, of $26,000.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our third and final item, we're asking the court to approve a waiver of terminal benefits for transportation services. Their executive secretary is retiring at the end of this month with 400 vacation hours. The department is requesting a waiver effective February 1st. There is a fiscal impact to the Road and Bridge Fund of approximately $8,900.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brewer? Whoops.
Good morning.
Morning.
We just have one item for public health, and that's to ask for approval of a $1,000 grant from United Healthcare. They have a Heroes Service Learning Grant, and we applied for that, and it is to support the Shaping Healthy Youth program that we're going to pilot at D. McCrae Elementary in Fort Worth.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Beecham.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We forget.
No, that was on hold.
Okay.
Either one of your teams win?
No, but we didn't play high school teams either.
My team won. Air Force won. I have a son that's a graduate of the Air Force Academy.
You go back and forth between our Air Force and A&M?
When you have two children, yes.
I know. I have to admit that's right. I do that too. And neither one of mine won. Of course, mine were playing a little bit more substantial teams than East Carolina.
Your term in the double wide does qualify you to switch teams, though.
Quite honestly, when I'm supporting LSU, I feel pretty comfortable in that double wide.
Where is Carolina?
No, where is East Carolina? I mean, I'm assuming that it's in the state of Carolina, but is it a technical school down there?
Raleigh, Greenville. The Raleigh, Greenville area.
Is it in North Carolina?
East Carolina. It's in East Carolina.
Well, who did? Wow.
How much did you beat that team by?
Enough.
Is that 1 point?
Had the same kicker that made that field goal kick, the one against LSU in Florida, we'd have been in a better bowl game. That didn't happen, but we're glad we'll take it.
Do you have any items on the
Yes, sir. We have 8 this morning. We do have 8 items for your consideration. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for RFP number 2009-134. This is an annual contract for background screening services. Our recommendation is to select as our primary vendor Quick Search and as our secondary vendor Pre-Check Incorporated. We have several vendors, as shown in your court communique, that were deemed non-responsive for not including the appropriate addendums, and one company that were non-responsive for not including the signature page.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our second item is also a bid award recommendation for our bid number 2010-016. This is our annual contract for our county record service. Our recommendation would be to award on a per enterprise basis, selecting as our primary vendor ABC Record Service, as our secondary Cornish Record Service. Once again, we have only 2 vendors that we had problems with. Cardinal Towing did not meet the heavy tow equipment requirements, and Texas Towing failed to include their addendum.
Jack, we have 3 towing services on here today.
Yes, sir.
Explain the differences of those.
This first bid is, again, 2010-016 is our county record service contract for just our county vehicles. Our item number 6, which is RFQ number 2010-002, it's a request for qualifications for light and medium-duty non-consent towing services. These are law enforcement originated towing services. We broke those down, light, medium-duty, and item number 7, the 2010-003, is an RFQ for heavy-duty non-consent towing services. If you'd like, I can...
people on 7 and 6 aren't real happy about what's happening, and the people on 2 are just our county vehicles that are breaking down and we have to tow someplace.
Exactly. Something I might mention in regards to item number 6 and 7, we contacted everybody that is a record service. And at some point in time, we were all concerned that this would be a controversial item that we might bring back to Commissioner Court for recommendation for award. Didn't turn out that way. Item number 6, the RFQ for light and medium-duty non-consent towing services. 10 out of the 12 vendors actually responded. One chose to back away for economical reasons, and one did not have the appropriate equipment. That's a pretty good cross-section. Chief Six is here to talk about the rotation that they will now begin to utilize for both items 6 and 7. Item number 7, the heavy-duty non-consent. Again, I think there was one vendor that did not respond, so we're very pleased with the response. 6 and 7 will be a rotation within the Sheriff's Department, and we feel Narcotics, NICU, Auto Theft Task Force, our Central Garage, and the SO will all be utilizing at least the county bid. And with rotation service, we hope to expand that amongst the constables. It worked out very well, and we've heard no complaints whatsoever. We were all concerned early on, and I think we're quite pleased with the outcome of this one. We had several pre-bid conferences. We threw them out a couple of times to clean up the specifications and give everybody a very fair opportunity. I think the response that we received is a clear indication that everybody is happy with that. We've heard no complaints whatsoever at this point.
One final question on this one we're addressing now. The bid received from Texas Towing failed to meet specifications because vendor failed to include Addendum 1 on their bid. What's that?
The addendum was in regards to invoicing and some other things. I must mention also, or should mention, that their prices were actually double. For county tows, it was $70 versus the $45 award that we are recommending.
Okay. Do we have a motion on this?
No, we do not.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 3 is also a bid award recommendation for our bid number 2010-020. This is an annual contract for the destruction of sensitive film and microfiche for the county clerk's office. Recommendation would be toward the low bidder, G-Mark Services, on a per unit price basis.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 4 is also a bid award recommendation for our bid number 2010-026. This is an annual contract for custom file folders for the district clerk's office. Our recommendation will be to award to a company called Accurate Forms and Supplies. Once again, we have a couple of vendors that did not turn in the required addendums. 3 companies, 9 to 5 Office Product Center, a company called Durr Graphics, and the Scott Merriman Incorporated Company. Our recommendation will be toward a per unit price basis.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 5 is another bid award recommendation for our bid number 2010-027. This is a bid for printing and mailing of H1N1 postcards for the health department. Our recommendation would be to award to a company called Benjamin Diversification Corporation, DBA Graphics 2, the amount of $127,482. In your court communique, there are several vendors again that did not turn in the addendum. One company actually asked to withdraw their bid that they submitted for incorrect pricing.
What is this postcard?
Excuse me?
What is the postcard?
What is the
Yes.
Just to...
Here we go.
The postcard is actually a flu prevention postcard. We are concerned that because we saw H1N1 in the spring last year, that it may come back again. So we want to get a postcard out to all of the households in Tarrant County about just general flu prevention, seasonal or H1N1, either way. And so to get that done in a package deal, develop the postcard and actual send out the mailing as well. That's what's all included in it.
Is this grant funded?
Yes, sir.
By whom?
Texas Department of Health. Through CDC, through the Texas Department of Health.
All right.
And I believe it's 770 households, or 770,000 households, I think, that it's going to.
All right.
Okay.
We do not have a motion, nor do we have a second.
Move approval.
Even though this is funded by a grant, do we expect this to be truly beneficial?
You might want to just kind of stick close up here. Have you got a pedometer on, or are you getting the steps in today?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Even though this is funded by a grant, do we truly expect this to provide results?
Well, you won't really be able to measure them, there's no doubt about that, but one of the grant deliverables we had was around a campaign, and this was one part of the campaign that we turned in. We had no idea in September what was going to happen, so we turned this in as a grant deliverable, and so they're expecting us to either, use it or lose it, kind of thing. But we did try to make the information, it goes across the board, so really it's for disease prevention, period. Right. It lists H1N1, but it's really a flu prevention
Is it
card.
something that they could keep as a reference piece?
Yes, exactly. And it's sturdy enough that they can keep on the refrigerator, whatever they choose to do.
And with contact numbers?
Yes, ma'am, and websites.
Okay, thanks.
All righty.
I have a motion, but I do not have a second. I now have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 6, we're seeking approval to utilize the qualified vendors for light, medium-duty non-consent towing services as shown under RFQ number 2010-002.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And number 7, again, we're seeking approval to utilize the qualified vendors as shown for heavy-duty non-consent towing as shown under RFQ number 2010-003.
Move approval.
Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Was Chief Six did you say he was going to make comments here?
He certainly can. Yes, sir. Please.
I wasn't asking for any. I was just following up on what you had said.
At least my team won their poll. So.
Good morning. For the record, Chief, that team would be...
Sooner or later, everybody has to do that. This process has gone on for quite some time to try to come up with a good resolution to how we handle the non-consent tows. And as Mr. Beecham said, that this is primarily for those where a person is involved in an accident or they've been arrested and their car is going to go to the pound or go to a wrecker yard without necessarily something that is their customer request. The process, as we will have it, will be that our dispatch center will keep a list of the wreckers that are on the contract on a rotation list, and then as deputies have a need to have a wrecker come to the scene to meet them, they will ask the dispatcher for a rotation wrecker. Unless if the customer has a request for a particular company, they can ask that on their own. But if they don't have a request of a particular company they like, then we'll ask for a rotation. The dispatcher will be keeping that list, and then we'll just move down the rotation as it goes along from one to the next to make sure that everybody has the next up chance to provide a tow service throughout the county.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you, Jay.
Is it Alabama?
Item number 8.
Our last item, we were seeking approval to utilize the qualified vendors for professional landscape architectural services under RFQ number 2010-002. This is a new RFQ, and that would be our recommendation this morning, please.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Happy New Year.
Transportation Services, Ms. Lamb.
Thank you, Judge. I'm here today to request that Commissioners Court consider a change in scope related to improvements to North Tarrant Parkway in Precinct 3. This project was included in the 2006 Transportation Bond Program. On January the 5th, the City of Keller sent the the county a request for this change in scope. The project is a joint project between the City of Keller and the City of North Richland Hills. Greg Van Nieuwenhuis and Caroline Wagner from North Richland Hills are here to answer questions, as is Greg Dickens and Dan O'Leary from the City of Keller. The change in scope is basically the original proposal was to build 6 lanes to widen the road to 6 lanes. The City of Keller, in response to citizens' request, is now asked that we go ahead and build the 6 lanes, but we strip about a 1/2 mile section to 4 lanes until traffic justifies the need for the full 6 lanes. We will, however, construct the full 6 lanes at this time.
Is that going to cause a traffic nightmare?
No, not really. First thing is, I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, now, go ahead. We've been working
There
with
are 6 lanes down to 4 for a half-mile section.
We've been working with the City of Keller, and we've got some restricted right-of-way issues in this particular area. And the traffic studies that were done by the City of Keller show that the 4 lanes, as we're talking about, will be adequate to handle the traffic flow for probably the next 5 to 7 years.
They indicate in approximately the year 2017 that they'll need the full 6 lanes.
And at which time, they'll just merely restripe the road.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this was more or less a compromise worked out. They had some very actively involved citizen groups who requested this. I believe there's also some commitments that there'll be some signal lights at a couple of different locations, and some lighting that won't be obtrusive to the homeowners because of the restricted right-of-way. So I think it's a good compromise. There's a lot of time been put into it. It's been going on for well over a year, and probably 18 months, and I think it's a good solution for those families that live in that area. And I don't really, the traffic studies show that it's really not going to be that big of a problem. So, and we're basically building it 6 lanes.
Well, I think it is a good compromise, and some of the people had even contacted me and brought me up to date on what was going on. The fact that you're building the 6 lanes, I think, makes it something that I can agree to.
Well, yes, thanks.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Our second item is a request that Commissioners Court approve an interlocal agreement with the City of Colleyville. This is related to the improvements to construct a roundabout with 2 free right-through lanes at the intersection of Glade Road and Pool Road. The county has 50% participation in it. They anticipate the construction will begin in May 2010.
I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
So the third item is a request that Commissioners Court approve an interlocal agreement with the City of Hurst. It's related to improvements to Pipeline Road. This project is broken into 4 segments at the request of the city. The first phase is nearing completion at this point. The county is participating at 50%. They anticipate the construction for the entire project will be complete by April 2013.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our last item is a request that the court approve an interlocal agreement with the City of Kennendale. This is related to the project on Bowman Springs Road. There are 2 projects on this one. We are talking today about the segment within Kennendale.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Van Ravensway, I believe you have an interlocal agreement.
Sorry.
Item 901A and B.
All right. I move approval for items 9, 1A, O, and B. A and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve items 901A and B. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Fickus. I believe you have an item 9.
Interlocal agreement?
And a local.
9 and
Okay.
02A.
I'm on it. City of Keller to purchase, I believe purchasing asphalt. I move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve item 902A and B. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. I'd like to recognize District Judge George Gallagher for 15 years of service. Is it 15? 10. Just 10. Just 10 years of service. Well, you missed that. I mean, I teach you to come in late. Thank you. We're very much appreciative of you being here today.
I'll have business with you.
Then maybe we are appreciative of you being here today. Appointments.
I have an appointment to the T-Board for the City of Richland Hills. Jeffrey Lewis Ritter. I met with Mr. Ritter. He's very committed to being serving on that board and understands the importance of transit in that community, which is a member of the T. So I have passed out a resume from Mr. Ritter.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Any other appointments? Then you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Honor members of the court. We have several for you today. The first item A, is an update to the project and financing plans by the City of Richland Hills as it relates to TIF Zone Number 1. Ms. McMillan.
Judge, Commissioners, you may recall in December of 2008, representatives from the City of Richland Hills came before Commissioners Court and made a presentation on the preliminary project and financing plan for the Baker Boulevard Tax Increment Financing District. And they subsequently established that district in January of 2009. Over the next 9 months after that was established, the staff went back and did some tweaking and updated the plans. In September of last year, the TIF board met for the first time, and they approved the final project and financing plans. And this did include changes from what you saw in December of 2008. So Matthew Schaffstall, who's the Economic Development Specialist for Richland Hills, is here today to give you a presentation on the updated project and financing plan for the Baker Boulevard TIF.
Welcome, sir.
Hi, thank you for your time today. We just wanted to bring everyone up to speed on where the project is at and what changes have taken place in the past year on the project. Essentially, since the last time the project was presented in front of the council, in front of the commission in 2008, we've had the formal ordinance has been approved by the City of Richland Hills. All the different members to the TIF board of directors have been appointed. That board has met and adopted a preliminary financing plan and project plan, as well as the City of Richland Hills has also adopted that plan. We are now at the point of working with our partners to make sure everyone is on board with the final versions of the plan. The Tarrant County College District has voted for full participation in the project, and we're at the point where we're asking the county for participation at 75% level for the county as well as 75% for the college district. Ultimately, the breakdown of how the plan lays out is that the City of Richland Hills will participate at 100% of the property tax as well as 1/8 of the sales tax inside the district. We're asking the county to participate at 75% of future property taxes. The college district has pledged 50% of future property taxes. We're asking the JPS Health Network, the County Health District, to participate at 75%. And then Birdville ISD will also serve as a board member, but is prohibited from contributing. The basic outline of what the plan is that Baker Boulevard is the main avenue that runs through bisecting Richland Hills north and south. So we want to take essentially all of Baker Boulevard and dogleg up Ruth Snow to where it intersects with Boulevard 26. This is the same plan that's been presented all along. It's the exact same boundaries. And essentially, we feel this is the best benefit for the plan because ultimately Baker Boulevard is essentially blighted by design. We feel that it's been a long-standing goal of Richland Hills to redevelop Baker Boulevard, but it has a lot of struggles. First of all, because its simple nature is it's designed to be a rural highway, and it was now an urban setting. 50 years ago, it worked great when Baker Boulevard, Highway 10, was how you connected downtown Dallas to downtown Fort Worth. With the change to the intersections, the changed needs, have changed for the business climate for that situation. The area is also blighted for a fact that it's pedestrian unfriendly. It's not really an easy, accessible area to move back and forth. It doesn't lend itself to retail or commerce in that fact. Plus, it's also has essentially a large white elephant in the fact that it has the vacant SAM site at 7,500 Baker, which has been a deterrent to future growth in the area. We think our TIF is a lot different than other areas. We're asking for simply a reinvestment zone to re-spark things. We're not taking the best corner at the best intersection and trying to give our money away to a developer. It's entirely an infrastructure-based plan that we're simply trying to put in the amenities to help the area grow, because left on its own, it hasn't produced over the last 15 years. Essentially what we want to do is we want to create, and this is the same concept plan that was presented in this last December to the commissioners, is we want to change the feel of the boulevard. We want to make it more of a Main Street feel than essentially a wide highway feel. That means putting in infrastructure improvements like sidewalks, curb and gutter, landscaping, media improvements. We think all of this enhances the sense of community, but also enhances the sense of commerce. It'll allow us to attract retailers, and also to allow us actually to be able to capture the investment that takes place at this level. Some of the improvements, like I said, we want to look at sidewalks, ornamental lighting, essential improvements in landscaping. Almost all of the improvements in the improvement plan are designed to be infrastructure oriented. The other change, and this still exists in the plan that was submitted in 2008, is that we have sort of a zoned focus, that we understand that the different ends of the street will have different needs, and so we've kind of concentrated it into a market district, a Main Street feel, and a merchant district. Over the next few years, the Board of Directors will be working to develop a zoning overlay plan that will be in conjunction with this plan to sort of give it feel, simply making sense that the intersection where Boulevard 26 and Reef Stone meet is the right opportunity for a grocery center anchored center, which means it won't have the same type of zoning that we'd have for the Main Street feel at the more central location of Baker Boulevard. Some of the new amenities that we want to add into the facility are we want to take we want to create a JPS health clinic. The idea is we use all of the contributions from the health network to go into financing the clinic at the site. We do have 2 school facilities, and I have met with Scott Rule, who will be the designee from JPS to the TIF Board of Directors, and that's where we're even looking at the possibility of doing school-based clinics or what opportunities, but getting it on the plan that would be in the funding to be able to come back and help a clinic aspect. We also want to develop some level of park, and then the most recent amenity we've already implemented, we've worked in conjunction with the County Health Department, is to implement the Richland Hills Farmers Market. We're trying anything we can to start to build more of a commerce feel and simply begin to build more amenities for the Baker shopping area. This is probably a faint copy, but overall the project financing plan, and this is the part that differs from what was originally shown to the board, it goes at about $7.7 million total for the infrastructure. This is a decrease in the amount of money that was shown to you last year. That's for 2 reasons. One, we wanted to reflect the change in the economic situation, and in forecasting the plan meant the next 5 years don't look to be the best, so it would change the amount of revenue that would flow in. And also the reflection is we've decreased the amount that we thought we'd put in for capital-intensive projects. It would have less sidewalks. It would be less capital-intensive from some areas, and since it's less capital-intensive, there'd be less bond financing costs. But you can see the essential outline of what we envision the project cost being, and this has been adopted by all the different partner agencies as well as the TIF board itself. One problem we noted that this is where the biggest change between what you saw in 2008. We miscounted the numbers. Like I said, besides decreasing the original amount, we were double showing the principal. In other words, what would be an average, when we do plan to do any bond financing for the project, we don't plan to do any financing for at least 10 years out in the plan. The idea is that one gives us time to plan for the project and see if the TIF is working before any debt is ever issued. In doing that, and as far as those capital expenses go, we were recording both the amount that we would pay off for the capital expenses plus all the one-time expenses, essentially double counting the principal. So in doing that, it made a difference of about a $4 million a year line item, which should have been more like a $933,000 item. So that allowed for a significant decrease in the project, and so we were able to scale back the overall cost in doing so.
You know, it'd be so nice to be on that side of the mistake. Usually whenever I see mistakes like that, it's always the other way.
And so essentially it outlines the basic differences we want to do, that the plan will be simply infrastructure intensive to allow for the project to begin to create a catalyst for development. Ultimately, I think the question we ask all of our partners to say is, why is this a good investment for you to participate in? We could finance all of these projects with cash over time as it came in through it, but the difference is we're not going to get the catalyst boom of implementing the project in, say, 10 years, or being able to have a little bit more upfront money to do things like market the site and promote it along. we think it creates a unique investment that we're allowed to have a huge return on our investment. The current base rate, which 2009 is established as the base year for the project, is Tad figured out, is about $43 million for the base of the district. That means that the total taxable land value is about $48 million. I mean, 43 for the taxable, the total land value about $48 million. What we're asking for is we're asking for the county contribution, which while it seems like $1.4 million seems like a lot, it would really only be $47,000 over the immediate. The reason that 1.4 number gets there is because we assume there'll be dramatic increases in the value, which I'll get to the next slide. Ultimately, we predict that we're able to, in the plans, create a 300% increase in the value. That becomes the difference in the project. That Baker Boulevard, when left to its own design, has sat relatively dormant in the market. It's been about, actually, we've lost a little bit of money from last year's market, but it really hasn't moved much from that mid-40s price range. What we're hoping to do is be able to take this incremental value and increase it in an $86 million investment and ultimately create a total project value that's worth close to $130 million at the end of the 20-year lifespan of the project. We feel this becomes the investment because by taking the different partners' participation between the college district, between the county, between the hospital, between the city, we're able to create catalyst projects that will increase the value incrementally over time and be able to move at a much faster pace than simply allowing the market to move at its natural pace. Ultimately, so over the last 5 years, it sort of highlights what we envision. While you see the total project cost, you see over the next 5 years, we don't anticipate spending a lot of money. We're doing this for a few reasons. We want to have the board of directors has implemented, they want to be a good steward of the money. We want to make sure, one, that we're generating proper reserves necessary to do any future financing, but we also want to make sure the project works and simply do planning during the initial 5 phase of the project. It's like I said, the idea behind this is to let the fund grow, to be able to implement design guidelines that will be able to work to help strengthen and implement the landscaping and begin the marketing of the project. We've already begun the first wave of the marketing of the project to creating simply retail rack cards, which highlights what's in the zone, highlight the traffic counts in it, as well as some of the feature properties and feature islands. These are what we have developed as the first wave of marketing materials to begin to market the project at events like the ICSC International Shopping Center Convention in San Antonio and Vegas. So we will try to go out and work with commercial real estate associations, Fort Worth, the Greater Society of Commercial Real Estate, to emphasize what we have and the tools that are available through the TIF district. I think I'm open to any questions you may have about the project.
Any questions at this time?
No, I want to thank the city. This is, I think, a great program for them. This is an area that has got huge potential, and I think this program will certainly help kick that off. I congratulate the city on stepping up and recognizing that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, what's the schedule on this?
We'll continue to work with the city on finalizing the participation agreements, and we'll bring those back at a later date to the Commissioners Court.
Okay. Mr. Mays?
Thank you, Your Honor. We can go now to item B. This is an update on the Regional Coordination Committee activities that relates to the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base. Mr. Payne is here to address the court at this time. Well, Mr. Skinner is here at this time, and he'll introduce Mr. Payne.
Mr. Payne is going to.
Good morning, members of the court.
Good morning. You better speak quickly.
The Regional Coordination Committee was formed in 2008 to oversee the implementation of the findings of the joint land use study related to the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base. John Ed Robbins and I serve on the RCC, and just as a background, in March of 2008, the Commissioners Court approved a resolution in support of the findings of the joint land use study. So today we'd have Mr. Paul Payne. He's the chair of the RCC and also the chair of the Texas Military Preparedness Commission, and he will provide you with an update on the activities of the RCC.
Judge and Commissioners, thank you for allowing me this time. Our purpose today is just to give you some background and hopefully introduce what the RCC is about and the importance of it. I'm not asking for money. Actually, you've already given money to us, and we'll touch on that slide here in a minute. As Randy already, I want to thank John and Robbins and Randy have been instrumental in getting this going. From the joint land use study back in 2006 to current. Very instrumental. So I want to thank their also I have Rachel Wiggins with the North Central Council of Governments, who's our administrator, and we wouldn't operate without her. So it's a real team effort. Look, may I ask a question? How many people even knew about the RCC, or is this the first time you've really understood what we're doing?
I understood. I knew we were.
You're all great. And I think most of you know me, and I was a base commander out there from 2002 to 2004. And one of the things I did learn as a base commander is the community still doesn't know all that goes on in the base. And so that was identified in the joint land use, is that we really did have to reach out to the community and educate them on exactly what the mission is now. We're not a B-52 base anymore, but there's a lot of activity that goes on there and the importance this is to our community. These are the list of the 6 municipalities and that are a part of the joint land use study. On the next slide, it shows our 3 long-range goals for compatible planning. And we needed to enhance that planning in particular, because things would go on around the communities and they wouldn't even know who to talk to on the base as far as whether or not there'd be a problem or compatibility issues with it, which is encroachment. And that has been a big issue nationally as well as in the state. And as Randy mentioned, I'm also serving on the Governor's Texas Military Preparedness Commission. We have 18 facilities currently in the state. 3 of those are going to go away as a result of BRAC. And every time we lose these facilities, we don't lose the assets that are on the base. They get consolidated somewhere else. And it's an ongoing issue about encroachment. So I want to make a point here that what we're trying to do is through talking with our community, and this is all voluntary, it's just very unique, I think, is that we're trying to plan compatible development so that we can grow together in a way that we don't have encroachment issues. And it's it's working so far. We're very early into this. So we had to reach out to the public, point 2, to teach people about the mission on the base. And then we need to support our base. It's a huge economic engine to this community, and I think most people are really amazed when they find out how much of an important that is economically. We were established in 2008 as a direct result of the joint land use study. Joint land use studies are done all over the country, and they're ongoing. But one thing I've found out since I've been on this committee is that a lot of people don't know how to implement the results of those land use studies, and that's what we're trying to do. So we've made a commitment. Each of the 6 communities have signed resolutions along with the county to say that they will voluntarily work on an ongoing basis to do this. So we have a resolution commitment from each. We meet every 2 months to talk about issues that are in there that are on development. And our biggest goal is how do we do that? Because you have 6 sovereign municipalities around this base, and they're all different in how they operate in the county and so on. We're establishing a base website so that people can introduce projects as they come up and we can talk about it. And I'll give you a real quick anecdotal story that I learned out in Dias, where they put a wind turbine up that was in direct line of sight to a radar system at Dias Air Force Base. Nobody talked to the base. The base didn't talk to the developer until the wind turbine became a problem. The happy news is that they moved the turbine without a conflict. It didn't go to a lawsuit or anything. But that's the kind of stuff that we are trying to address proactively. If we can talk and communicate with people in advance before projects actually happen, then we can avoid these issues and we can avoid encroachment. So we very much embrace development. We just want development that's compatible. And that's really my biggest message today, is that how can we do that? Here's a list of the 6 municipalities and our representatives from those municipalities. And the county was on there too. And these are non-voting members, which has been great. And the reason I'm here today is to get to each of the entities and tell people about the RCC so that you'll be able to reach out to us and use us as a resource. We had a great meeting last month with Lockheed Martin, and a lot of issues they didn't know that we were doing. So I think we're getting our message out, and we also reached out to all of the leadership, and the captain of the base, Captain Smyers, and myself gave a presentation at the base. And I asked everybody at the end of that, I said, did you learn something today, and was this worthwhile? We had 2 hours of their time, their busy schedule, and they said absolutely. And we said we'll do it again next year. So it was very well received through the community leadership. Here's the funding breakdown. If you look at Phase 3 and 4, you will see that the county has participated a portion of the local match elements, the 37.5, 2 times, and the county did a portion of those too. I would estimate on Rachel's recommendation is that we are about 3 years of funding right now. I hit a button by mistake. I froze it. I hit a wrong button. There we go. This just shows a graphic of the communication that we're trying to get going between the community and the base and the county. Partnerships that we established in 2008, and as you go through that, you can see some of the examples of things that we've done. Benbrook went ahead and they chose to do some zoning inside the 65 decibels and higher, and they asked for soundproofing measures, better insulation in those areas so that they would avoid sound issues. That was their choice. We worked with the city of Fort Worth when they were trying to work with Lake Worth. Those 2 communities came together on a vision plan for on the north side of the lake across from the base, and we had some inputs because they were going to put a high-density town center right inside the accident potential zones. And we brought that to their attention because when they were working with their planners in the city, they didn't know about our accident potential zones from the base. So I think that's a good example of some of the why we're such a good resource, because we're educating them, hey, this could be a potential problem and encroachment issue if you do that high-density development. We ask that they just flip-flop it. Keep the town center, just don't put it in the ATZ, put the less dense in the APZ, and they're working with us. So we don't know where that's going yet, but they're working with us. So some of the examples. The number one bullet, and from my the Texas Military Preparedness Commission, I'm learning, especially, it doesn't take much research to see what happened down in San Antonio area with development down there. Very contentious issues with encroachment with Camp Bullis. What we're able to do right now so far is we're reaching out to the communities, educating them on what's going on in the base. We just had an issue with the community along the lakefront, and through that meeting, we were able to come back and start looking at resolutions, and there are 2 proposals now from the city of Fort Worth that the community said we like those, but we help facilitate that, and that's all we're here to do is help facilitate resolutions before they become a problem. So it's voluntary, and I really like that aspect. Nobody's mandating anything here. We're trying to plan for compatible growth. Here's the bottom. This is our last slide, and I would key on the transportation planning. My point on this slide is just to say, why am I here other than education? And I mean, what can you do for us? Know that we're here. Know that we're a resource. If issues come up in front of the commission that ask you questions that have an impact on the base, say, hey, have you talked to the RCC yet? Because we're finding not everybody knows about us yet, but we're getting better known. And make sure that we're involved in it, because I think we can help bring up issues, identify potential problems, and have those resolved before somebody's building something like a wind turbine, and then we have an issue. And I believe, more than anything else, your leadership in transportation can play a major role. And don't think of it just as roads, because the base is a FEMA center. And we are an emergency response asset to this community. So it's airport as well, that runway. And if we had, I hope we never do, but if we had something catastrophic and we had to have a place, and I was at the Pentagon on 9/11 where you had to put body, that's one of those assets, along with Will Rogers. And so those kind of issues, how do we get people on and off? In transportation, I think we need your expertise, we need your leadership and your insights more than anything else, transportation. So I would ask for your help on those issues. I think there will come a time in the near future where we'll be talking to you about how we can work together on that. And that concludes my comments. Thank you very much for your time.
Paul, thank you very much for coming out today. We do very much appreciate that asset that we have, and we certainly want to work cooperatively to make sure that both it stays strong as well as the community and the cities around that, and that we all kind of understand what's going on out there.
Thank you very much, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Paul.
Your Honor, Members of the Court, that's all we have at this time.
Okay. This time, we will recess our open session and proceed to closed session to discuss.
Oops, maybe not.
Let's do it.
Call the Commissioners Court meeting back to order. Mr. Wright?
Thank you, Your Honor. Under item E3, we're requesting authorization for the county judge to sign the settlement agreement that settles our subrogation interest in that case.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's all we have at this time, sir.
This meeting is adjourned.